Hello and welcome to episode 419 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Vince Hunt and joining me as always is the creator of the comic series Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
The master of ceremonies and who's also available for weddings and bar mitzvahs is Tony Esmond.
I will marry you.
He's married both me and Dan. It's that kind of relationship.
8 years of a wedding.
And this week we're going to propose
Just out of the honeymoon.
We're going to propose to our guest, or I say guest, he's just part of the fam now. We brought in someone to give us a little bit of a cuddle because it's a bit of a celebration this week. It's the one and only Tom Curry.
Thank you very much, and of course I do.
We know that.
The question is, who doesn't?
Exactly, yes.
When we were discussing favourite moments of the 8 years, I sent you a picture of you sitting on my knee.
Yeah.
That's up there.
This week, welcome to the show, everyone. This, of course, is the comic book show to end all comic book shows. Which means
it's not going to end it.
Which means that we'll probably end the medium. We're going to end the medium with the bad professionalism. But no, this is, of course, going to be another 2 hours of comic book talk and general fun. We're going to have a bit of fun this week because it's a bit of a special week. Because we kind of look back and realise we've been making this show week on week for 8 years. With
episode 4. Isn't it?
Man, that's fucking flown. It really has.
It absolutely has.
When we didn't really know each other very well to start with, did we?
No,
not at all. Like I said, I met you the Thursday before, Tony, and then we recorded on Sunday. I think that's it.
And we recorded our first one. We didn't do a practice one. We just recorded
it.
Yeah.
Not being too wanky. I think generally because we're kind of people that can get on with others and kind of understand it, it worked.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's some people who aren't great in one-to-one or group situations, maybe, but we're just full of our own shit and importance. Let's face it.
Look, if you do a podcast, there's always a sense of ego that goes into it. Otherwise,
and narcissism, don't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely, narcissism. And by the way, you can buy our comics from. No,
but you know where they can get great comics?
Here we go.
Where's that,
Ever
Tom?
the pro.
Oh, it's Comic House.
Let's see how much of a pro he is. Tony.
Don't bully him. He's a guest.
Tom, tell us more about Comic House.
He's not a guest, is he?
Comic House, I mean the Netflix of comics.
Yeah, thank you,
Tom.
Tom.
Get such great titles as Dan. Would you like to kick off with some?
Well, some titles we've got in. I've not actually got that up, Tom. So you've.
You've let us down. Sorry, Tom.
I will say, Tom, you were doing very well there, and you can tell that you've been listening to this show far too long.
Fucking years.
Yeah.
But you can get titles such as Phantoms on the Lake, Fractures Volume 1, Colin Undead, Metal Bastard Adventures, and Viper Crimson Dawn, all on Comic House and more.
Yes, and you can read all those on the Comic House app. The digital app and Comic House are our lovely sponsor. Thank you to them for sponsoring us over the past few years.
Cheers, Pete.
So to find out more,
Since episode 100, wasn't it? Is that when they came on?
Is it? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Blimey, how time flies when you're reading comics and having fun. But thank you to Comic House for all the support. And to find out more about Comic House, just go to comichouse.com and get involved because we did. Now look at us. It's 300 episodes of talking about
ruined.
300 episodes of terrible adverts.
Or as Pete Dorry once said to me, "What else are you going to do on a Sunday night, Tone?" So yeah, good point, Pete.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, this doesn't come out on a Sunday night, so don't. Sometimes we.
What would we do otherwise? Just stare at shit telly, wouldn't we? You know.
Well, the thing is, when we've recorded a show early, it's every week, listeners, without fail. If we do a recording session and we have to do it on the Wednesday or Thursday before normal, because behind the curtain, we record on a Sunday night, the episode goes out the next day on the Monday, which constantly surprises every single guest.
Every guest.
Yeah, they don't say that.
Have on. Little do they know how unprofessional I am, and I'm not going to spend ages editing it. That's just not my jam, baby.
It's all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't need to, do it? It's all gold.
We always message each other on Sunday saying, it feels weird. Not doing it.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know that Narcos meme where it's the guy, the four panels of the guy standing around.
I always feel like you're the meme. You two act like the meme of John Travolta, sort of wandering around in Pulp Fiction, not quite sure what to do with himself. I always get a message from my two co-hosts, sort of going, "I don't know what I'm doing. This feels
Yeah.
wrong.
I'm naked.
Every
Sunday
time.
night is an alien landscape to me. I don't really know what to be doing.
I don't know what's
other than this.
Yeah.
I don't know what's on television.
No.
I don't know what's happening in the world because
What's
all
the-
I do is stare at the screen and look at your two gorgeous faces.
Yes.
And now Tom.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm in here as well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, every
What-
Sunday at 7:30, I think, they're on.
Yeah.
They're not texting me at this point.
Tom looks off to the sky longingly.
Look,
I wonder
yeah.
what they're talking about this week.
Tom's got his legs out again.
To be fair,
That's what happens.
Tom, hats off to you. We power dropped you into a couple of episodes where like something's happened and like one of us can't make it, and then you've jumped in at the last minute, and that's been fucking
Yeah, it's
hats
been
off
good,
to you
man.
there. It's really good.
Yeah.
Very good. So,
Yeah.
No problem.
Otherwise, two of us have got to talk back and forward, and we don't want to do that. do
What,
we?
what do you mean? You don't have any confidence in that, Dan? I have full confidence in you.
Yeah, I'm joking.
It's been a crazy 8 years, so much so that we've forgotten a million things that have happened. Certainly, it has changed our very DNA as people. That sounds so dramatic, but things, the way you read comics, the comic business, the way you make comics, everything has shifted in so many different ways since we started this show. And we've got a few shout outs, and we've got some pick out moments. And we'll give a shout out to some people that said some very nice things.
Yeah,
to
I
us
was got a
personally.
bit choked up. It was very nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
reading some of
Yeah.
that, you put the group up in the Slack, Vince, and honestly, reading through it, I was like, fucking hell. I really
Yeah.
it's very touching, some of the messages. I really,
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
we all appreciate it.
So everyone who left a message is getting a shout out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when we created this show 8 years ago, just to let's find out more about making comics, and just we had no idea necessarily we'd be talking to people from the other side of the world, new creators from all different time zones, some absolute classic creators. We didn't have any idea.
I've got a memory of you saying, of us looking at the numbers for the first week and you going, "Oh fucking hell, I thought it'd be like 12 people." Yeah, genuinely, I remember you saying that.
A couple of months later, it was no.
Yeah.
We've been.
Didn't he get picked by Apple at the start? Some
Yeah, we
relatively
got
at the
that
start.
Yeah.
boosted episode, didn't we? Yeah.
The thing is, it was all shiny and new to begin with, and we had such a basic name, the Awesome Comics Podcast. It was hard to not.
But also the Landscape podcast were in different 8 years ago.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, it was a completely different thing. It was that pre-serial?
Oh, don't
Yes,
know.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You know what I
was.
mean? Like,
You also had you had more English and British podcasts back then, didn't you? So I think the Orbiting Pod was going back then. You had a few
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, Small Press Big Mouth was one of the inspirations for this thing way back.
I don't think I ever listened to that one. Who did that?
No, me neither.
You say that, and my brain
Did
just
your
went
brain
blank.
sparked?
It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
absolutely
You was
sparked
big
out.
into Barry Nugent and
Yeah, Geek Syndicate, of course. The
They're,
Geek
album.
they're
Syndicate,
still
yeah.
going, aren't they?
They're
They do a
definitely-
lot of sort of
yeah.
movies and stuff as well, don't they? So
Yeah,
they mix it up a bit. Yeah, yeah.
But they're legends, veterans, and very nice guys as well.
Yeah, they are
if
funny
you're
guys.
listening, big
Like
shout
'em,
out, a big hello from us, from one pod to another.
He goes to me when we met him at Thought Bubble. He goes, "I didn't know what you looked like because I always thought you were the old bloke at the back of the room going, rah." I make him right.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Yeah. But certainly, most of all, we hope you have enjoyed it and got something out of it. Never mind, the jokes and everything's. We've got a billion stories and a billion jokes, and certainly lots of people mention some funny stuff. But also, we want you to learn something to be as well as being entertained, informed. Perhaps you have learned how to make your comics better, or got advice about publishing or anything like that. If that has helped in any way, we are just completely over the moon chuffed about that.
Yeah, it's great, isn't
That's fantastic.
So we hope you've got something from this. This week, you're not going to get anything because it's just going to be nonsense for 2
fucking
hours.
around.
And we're going to.
We got some recommends though.
We got
Yes,
some, we
yeah.
got a few recommends, and we got some great old comic talk. But speaking of comic talk, we're going to kick this off just to let you know how we're attacking this birthday celebration. And we've got our birthday cakes, we've got our party hats on, party poppers, all of that. Tom's in his birthday suit.
Yeah.
It's lovely. The whole scenario is wonderful. But we thought, fuck it, it's our show. 8 years. We can do what we want. Let's have a quiz to begin with.
Oh, and it's got the best name,
And
this quiz.
certainly, Dan Butcher, Dan the man, the legend that is,
Prepped it.
yeah, the person that people hang on the moment when he says hello to them. That's the kind of guy that Dan Butcher
quite a few
is.
replies
That's
about
the
that.
take
weren't
that
they?
we got from that.
Yeah. Give him one more, Dan.
Hello.
There you go.
That's a good one.
That was a particularly good one. Put that in the bank.
It's a good
I was-
2021 one, that one.
Yeah. I was laughing because we're in a WhatsApp group now with Eamon, aren't we? Because we're sort of sorting out things for DUI3. And I almost said in it, Eamon, prepare yourself. Vince replies in Arnie memes. And then you did. And you did a no problemo.
You got no problemo.
So, but we're going to start off with a bit of a quiz. And Dan Butcher, he's been talking a good game. He's been threatening to do this to us. I bet you're wondering what this quiz is. But we're going to have a bit of a Viz quiz. But it's not just a Viz quiz. What are we calling it, Dan?
It's Viz or Jizz.
Yes.
Yes. So Dan,
I didn't come up with that. I can't claim that.
No, but you can claim to be the creator of this quiz.
Yes.
Your quiz.
So just tell us what
Of
this
wholeness.
So I'm going to give you the title for a Viz comic strip, and you've got to tell me whether it's Viz and it's real, or it's Jizz and it's one I've made up.
Sorry, just when you said it out loud, it became funny all over again.
I've got to say, listen, if you're not listening to this on headphones, now's the time.
Yeah, please.
If you're in the car with the kids.
Let's get a shout out.
Yeah. And just to let you know, for the next, this is just the beginning of it.
Little bit blue. This.
Yes.
Yeah. But for those of our lovely listeners out there who just think, what are they talking about? Dan, you've been a reader of this comic series for a long time. What are we talking about when we say
Viz is kind of like an adult humor, alternative humor style comic that kind of started off being sold by single issues in a pub to becoming sort of sold nationwide and
movies and TV series and
loads of stuff.
So don't confuse it with the manga imprint. Viz is very much an English thing, a British thing. So it's from Newcastle, isn't it? I'm going to say it's Jesmond in Newcastle. I only remember that because it's similar to my name. But I think it's from Jesmond, and it's very much sort of raw piss take on British humour comics, isn't it? I'm going to say.
It is kind of like a piss take on British comics like the Beano, Dandy, Whiz and Chips, all that kind of stuff. But also like tabloid newspapers.
Yeah. Sometimes multimedia stuff, and it's very satirical. Hugely satirical.
Yeah. It's kind of managed to keep itself because all the others didn't really understand that it was the satire that people were laughing at, not just the
and also
jokes.
Everyone's a target. It's not partisan. Everything is funny to them, which I like.
It almost treats the comics almost like a newspaper from the fact that, like, next week this story could be old, so we're just going to get the most laughs out of it as it possibly can.
And it comes out is it monthly? I think
it's monthly. I always treat you guys to the annual every Christmas.
I've got 5 of them in front of me.
And from cover to back cover, nothing serious. It's just fucking jokes. There's letters, columns, and stuff that we absolutely
love the letters. Like, I often see them getting shared on Viz, like just out in the wild.
Yeah.
Well, the one I read, one always makes me laugh. Does anyone know the manager of Girls Aloud? Because I'd like one of them to come around and suck my penis. What's one we see? My wife's
at bingo. So you have to be gone by the time she gets back. She go nuts.
And they've written a letter.
Yeah.
For it.
I still remember Girls Aloud this weekend.
What did you?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know which one of them. Just one of them. She's performing it. Yeah. There you
nice.
Go.
Wow,
Tom,
you really stunned us into silence. We were like, what?
She just did her bits of the songs, She's doing her bit and then just stops when it's not her bit of the song.
Fair play. That's how this podcast works. We only do our
I was saying, how many girls allowed were there? 4.
I don't know.
One's passed away, and she's
only singing for a quarter of the songs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's still worth it.
Yeah, it was all right.
Right. Without further ado,
you're just a love machine.
Yeah. certainly, international listeners, if you haven't checked out Viz before, just give it a try.
Please do. Please do.
It's very funny.
Yeah. I gave every year when I go to New York, I give a copy to the OC boys, and I'm going to say only one of them gets it.
Okay.
So Vince B, their Vince, as I like to refer to him, not my Vince. He says he sat on the couch in their hotel room chuckling along to it, and he says the others didn't get it. Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna keep individual scores, and then we can find out at the end who's.
Do you want to do scores,
Tom?
Yeah, I'll jot it down.
Okay.
Right. So 10 titles. You got to say Viz or Jizz.
Cool.
First title. I'll start off relatively easy. Reverend Ramsden's Ringpeace Cathedral.
Sorry. Oh my God, we're coming in hot. Jesus.
Reverend Ramsden's Ringpeace Cathedral.
Okay, so who's going
first?
Guess first.
Oh,
Tom.
Yeah, cycle it round so each one goes first.
Is it Viz or is it Jizz?
Viz.
I think it's Viz.
Okay. Vince?
Can I just get the name one more time, please?
Reverend Ramsden's Ringpeace Cathedral.
I think it's Viz.
I think it's Jizz.
Okay. It's actually Viz.
Oh.
Reverend Ramsden's Ringpeace Cathedral. A vicar with a life-sized church up his bottom.
A cathedral up his bottom. They're bigger as well. Yeah.
There's one of the strips where he goes up to a bunch of lads and he goes, "Hey lads, are you looking to make some money?" They go, yeah. Is that what I'm looking for? Some choir boys. And they go, okay. So he just pulls his arse apart. He's like, well, you just nip in and put the things on. We'll get going.
Sounds like the boarding school I went to.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Does that mean he's a city? Anyway, shall we...
Yeah, technically.
Okay, second one. So you're going to go first here, Vince.
Okay.
And the title is Arse Farm.
I'm going to laugh at every single one of these.
Arse
Farm. That is really difficult. I'm going to say Viz.
Tony?
Jizz.
Tom?
Jizz.
That's Viz.
Fucking hell. I'm none for two.
Yeah. About a farmer who cultivates human buttocks on his land.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to have trouble breathing by the end of this.
Okay, third one.
Yeah.
Tracy's Turbo Tits.
Jizz.
Tony.
Jizz.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to go Jizz.
I think Jizz as well.
You called me out. Yes, that's a jizz.
Finally, I'm off the.
Yeah.
I've got 1 point. Phew.
Off the mark.
Off starts
Right.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Fourth title. Vidal Baboon.
Ooh.
Who's for? It's Tom's.
I think it's me. It's me. Yeah. Vidal Baboon. How can we use Vidal in the sentence, please? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm going to go Viz.
Viz. Okay.
Jizz.
Viz.
It is Viz.
Ooh.
Vidal Baboon. A baboon employed as a stylist in an upmarket hairdresser's. It ends up scalping the customer and trashing the salon.
I'd read that.
You were Jizz, weren't you?
Yeah.
Tom was.
I was.
Vince was Jizz.
You were Jizz. Cool.
I was Viz, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Fifth one. Stalin on the corner watching the girls go by.
What was the first word?
Stalin, as in Joseph Stalin.
Oh, right.
Who-
Is it me?
It's Tony.
I'm going to say Viz.
Who's next? Is it Tom?
I think it's me.
Tom.
It's me. Oh shit. Ooh. I'm going to say Viz.
I'm going to say Viz.
You're all right. Viz. A strip
Yes.
about Joseph Stalin attempted to pick up women with a series of increasingly ridiculous chat lines. Most of the women are horrified, but when he finally meets one who's attracted to communist dictators, she goes home with Chairman Mao instead.
Good.
My God.
Halfway mark.
Okay.
Mark.
Right.
What are the scores? Let's have the scores.
So, supporting us with his mighty shoulders, Tony's there at 3.
Right.
And then we've got joint first with myself and Vince at 4.
Oh, it's close. It's close still.
Close.
Okay.
It's all to play for.
Yes. Right, the next one. We've got Knobs Alive.
It's you, Vince, isn't it? Is it?
Is it me?
It's you.
No,
It's you, Vince.
Knobs alive.
Yep.
Oh,
Now, you know
God.
Jizz comes out of knobs, so
Yeah.
might be a clue there.
Yeah.
Usually.
Thanks there. Thanks, sir, for the biology lesson. I'm gonna say Viz.
Tony?
Ooh, yeah, interesting. Knobs alive. I'm going to say Jizz. Take a chance.
Tom?
I'm going to go Viz.
That one was Jizz.
Yay!
Oh.
That was a chance. I almost went Viz with that one, but because I thought, I'm trying to work out how Dan's mind works, so I never fucking.
And the meta game.
Plus the fact that they have some really long-winded titles, and then you have Arse Farm.
That's what got me. Yeah.
Oh, right, next one. Is this back to you, Tom?
It is back to me. Yeah.
Okay. Camberwick Greggs.
I'm gonna go Jizz.
Jizz, okay. V?
Viz.
And I'm gonna Viz too.
Okay. It's Viz. Camberwick Greggs, a very bleak parody of Camberwick Green, where Mickey Murphy the baker is driven out of business after a branch of Greggs opens across the
road. Fucking hell.
Very good.
Okay. Right. Next one, which is this you, Vince?
No,
is it?
I think it's Tony's first.
Tony's, okay.
Okay.
Two more questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hang on, two more. I thought you said
three more. Sorry.
Three more, yeah.
We got Wayne King, the Wanking Wonder.
Viz.
Tom.
Oh, Viz.
That's Viz.
That's Jizz.
Oh, unbelievable!
Dan, you broke up. Did you say it was Jizz? Did you?
It's Jizz.
Jizz.
Okay. That sounds remarkably like your Dark Mind, actually, to be fair, now that I think about it.
Upon reflection. Right, question 9. Is this Tom?
No, Vince.
Vince.
Oh.
Okay. Out comes Stanley.
Viz.
Viz.
I've got to go Jizz for the points.
It's Viz. Out comes Stanley, a man who slashes people with a Stanley knife at the most trivial of provocations.
Jesus Christ!
That strip is brutal. Right, and the last question.
Last one.
Go.
The scaffolders were bastards.
Who's first?
It's me. I'm going to go Viz because I don't think Dan's had any building work done recently.
Is it me? I'm going to go Jizz. I'm going to go Jizz because
I'm going to go Jizz too.
Yeah, the way Dan's mind works.
It's Viz.
Oh no!
The scaffolds for bastards. A group of construction workers to solicit an old lady for a contract to renovate the front of her beautiful thatched cottage. When they get the job, they're extremely rude, aggressive, and deliberately careless in their work, further adding to the cost. The strip ends with the house collapsing because of their negligence.
Fair enough.
There you go.
I'd read that too. Yeah.
Brilliant quiz. So,
go on, Tom.
I was going to say, so I came in last place for solid 5, and Vince and Tony 6.
Still not great. Just 60%. 60% still to win.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a hard
high
one.
five, Tony. And
well done, mate.
One for you as well, Tom.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you both.
A smaller one.
Yeah.
I can run and run. There's so many strips that have gone in Viz.
Yeah.
How many of you lovely listeners out there played the game? If so, what's wrong with you?
Why don't you say your score in a review to the podcast? A 5-star.
Yeah, just send it in.
Yeah.
We played a quiz about you.
5.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
That scaffolder one's good because the boss of the job spends the entire time on the phone. So I haven't been down the fucking club, and he's speaking to his missus, and it's just completes getting worse and worse and worse. And he's like, "Oh, fuck off! I don't want to talk to you." And he goes, "Right, lads, better down the club."
So this show has been obviously going for a little while now. I don't know what's wrong with us either, listeners. But whether you're a new listener or an old listener, perhaps you listened from the first episode. God knows how you managed to do it. We don't know how we made it 8 years, but there's going to be even more to come. But we thought we'd pick out a couple of sort of moments in the sort of history of the show. Certainly this is we brought Tom in as well because obviously when did you start listening, Tom?
I started listening at episode 50, which was just after the Bristol Con where I met yourself and Tony. But I have no memory of like Tony actually, if I'm honest, I just remember Vince, and then retrospectively working out who was Tony.
That's interesting because like we become all really good friends, and it's only through kind of through that. Yeah, that's another one. Okay,
which is obviously one of the highlights is the friendships you make along the way. I get called Hallmark cards. I get called Hallmark cards at work when I'm trying to be positive. What does that mean? I'm just trying to
being overly sentimental.
I put a nice message on the Slack.
That's what they're trying to. That's what
self-destruct.
Come on, guys, let's just all be friends. Yeah, let's just all.
So they're trying to insinuate.
Yeah, bastards.
But anyway. You do class those people as your friends? Maybe a reassessment is in order.
Nah, fuck them.
But certainly, we have met a lot of lovely people over the 8 years, and we've read an awful lot of good comics. But there's also been some top moments for the show, so we thought we'd just sort of reminisce, travel down memory lane, stop in a lane.
I hope nobody finds my notebook because I've just written jizz in big letters on a page.
Well, it's not the first notebook you've probably done that in. To be fair.
No, I normally draw around things. Yeah.
That's probably the least there. Concerns. I pick up that book.
Yeah, sometimes there is actual jizz. Anyway, so in terms of like, we've each picked out some moments that we like to remember. Who would like to go first?
Guess first.
Cool.
Guess first.
Okay, do you want me to do all of them in one run?
We'll do one each and go around in a circle, shall we? Like a lovely circle jerk.
And obviously, we're good buddies with you now, but also you're coming from a listener perspective. It's a little bit different for us when we're in the trenches every week. But what have been some of your sort of top moments over the years?
So I'll start off with episode 349. Helen McCarthy kicking off Manga Month.
Oh, great!
Yeah, she was great, wasn't she?
Do you know what? It's just a combination of a lot of things. If that makes sense. Like you've got incredibly eloquent guests on. From where you guys were when we first started listening to where it is now in terms of I don't want to say growth, but how much manga you were reading at the time.
Totally, yeah.
Showing where we started off and where I was at that point. It was just it was a really solid interview with someone who really knew their stuff and was just she could be on here now and still more to share, still more to go through. Really interesting. Really just the media work.
She was like the perfect guest to kick off that
yeah, she was a great shout. Yeah. We almost didn't get her either, did we? I remember she took a while to reply, but when she actually came on, she was lovely, wasn't she?
Yeah. She might have been a little bit apprehensive, but as soon as she got going, it was like, oh, actually, this is fine.
Yeah. I think, one of the things I'm proud of with this show and the things we do a bit differently is you could just get lots of people who are fans, and certainly there's lots of fans about manga, but we also wanted to do it from another sort of perspective, a little bit more informative, a bit historical, find out a bit more about it.
It was a nice exercise educating ourselves, wasn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, completely. And it was almost a statement of intent for the month ahead, which was a fun month. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm still reading it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really kind of hit you quite hard, T, I would say.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean as in...
No, I genuinely, man, because I'd read some early stuff when we first got that late 80s, early 90s hit of manga, and some of the stuff there I really enjoyed, and then I just thought it went sort of super twee and big eyes and schoolgirls, and I was really wrong about that, and found some really, really impressive books. I absolutely have reread a number of times since. Yeah, no, it had a really big effect on me. Yeah, very much so.
I think you're very much into manga too, as well, Tom.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And there was stuff that Helen went on about that I had no idea about at all. And it's just I just remember being a really solid episode I just really enjoyed. And I think I've been asking for quietly messaging Vince every now and again, oh, you're going to do your genre months again. Because you did those was it the early hundreds or something? Maybe the 90s?
Yeah, we did a Western one, didn't we?
Yeah, which we need to do again. And I keep meaning to. It's one of the things that's always on the list.
Got a genre one coming up.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
We've been planning for that.
Next week.
Is it a genre?
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It
is very weird. We won't spoil the listeners. Yeah.
I've got a special T-shirt for it. I'm going to wear it during the recording. But more on that next time.
More on that next time.
It's a rebel.
Yeah. But I think that was when you asked me to put these together, that was the first one that came to mind. As just a really great episode. One I've sort of favorited in my podcast at Catcher of Choice. And just love it. Great episode. Really
if you can find her online, she does a 15-minute she talks about as fast as Tarantino talks, like a 15-minute summary of the history of manga, and it's brilliant. And after seeing that in our research for the show, that's why I suggested we booked her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great to have someone like not just knowledgeable. She was in it from like the kind of the ground floor, and when she was telling those stories of like getting a VHS and the player in like some hall that they were watching.
That's right, at a festival. Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. I love to hear stories like this, and that kind of passion that someone has for what they're into is just so infectious. I think really kind of G'd me up to like, yeah, this is fucking great, and
absolutely. And it just kicked off like a really good month of just like a genre talking about a style of comics rather than genre per se, and just exploring that fully. I thought you guys did a really good job on that month as a whole, but I thought that was just a lovely way.
Yeah, she was great.
Well, I mean, also Tom, we do truly appreciate that because we went into it and I'm gonna say we do read some, but we're not a reader of like manga.
No, it's very narrow.
For instance, like you are. I know that's you read a lot, so hopefully we do it justice whenever we try something new. So yeah, it's a great episode. Yeah, well picked, Tom. Well picked.
Yeah, nice one.
Good shout.
Who's next?
Who wants to go next?
I've got one.
Go
on then.
It's not so much of a big moment, but it's always stuck in my mind, and I've always come back and plays it. We was at Leamington Spa, Dan Melia, done the Leamington Comic Con, and we was all four of us, and we had Jay Gunn on a panel, and I can't remember what the panel was, but it was in that little glass room, and we were like talking to Jay Gunn and having a bit of just like a kind of a pod in real life, if you know what I mean, live.
Yeah.
And I think you might have said something, Tony, and a lady in the audience really laughed, like it caught her, like, and
oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah, and then we was talking back, and then at the end we was talking to her, and you were talking to her, and it was basically like she didn't really have much interest in comics, she didn't know anything about much to do with the scene, and she just sort of came in here because like she'd kind of done the rest of the con,
right? But then,
bored. And then just like something there, and she found it really interesting. She just really liked listening.
That's nice.
She may not be listening now, but like it always struck me like we got a legit laugh there from someone who's not in the scene.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that stuck with me.
Oh, nice one, man. Yeah.
I did listen to another live one where we was at Leamington, I think, for the first time. When they had that massive room and there's about a dozen people in there.
Oh yeah.
Christian Wildgoose was with us. That was fun.
Was that? Oh, okay. Yeah,
that was True Believers. Great. True Believers was the live
Troops.
One, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good old Troops.
That was, It's, doing the live shows doing it live is so much different.
Hmm.
I'm not comfortable doing it live. I don't know.
Same.
Really?
When I think one of you might mention it when we did the 300, 200, the one where
that was okay because everyone was kind of our buddies in the room, weren't they?
Yeah, I've got to say that was my next one on the list actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's save that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, fuck saving it because it's one of the.
Oh, it's one of yours as well, being it.
Top ones on my list.
Why don't you double team on it then? Yeah.
Because obviously we're 400 episodes now, but when we did the 200th, we had a little live show. We set up a little place in London where a small group of people got together in a pub.
Tony panicked about the price because he laid a massive deposit on it, but then everyone drank more than the Queen Mother and paid for it, so that was fine.
And bought food, and it was just a genuine nice time. We had a raffle. There was lots of comic book talk. If you were there, thank you so much for coming.
The Don sorted the raffle out, didn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah. That Don was the raffle was fucking great. That was really good. Yeah. Everyone fucking stepped up. There were some great prizes.
But Gareth Slightholme original art and all sorts in there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And obviously we did a sort of impromptu live recording, which was kind of surreal because it was rather than like a convention desk in front of us, it was a little pub table with a lap. I brought my laptop and we had a laptop there.
Had your phone sat in the middle of the...
I had the phone just in case it didn't pick up on the laptop, but all was good, all was okay, and it was a fun time. Tony, like... That almost worked in an opposite way for me. You're saying sort of like at conventions and stuff when we've done live, you're more aware of it. But I was more aware of people watching us record in that little room in that pub.
Yeah, it's very
because it was
interesting.
It was a packed little room. We're not talking a stadium here, but but all eyes were on in this room had been a buzz with activity, lots of comic book talk. And then for about an hour and a bit, Everyone went
quiet,
and we could feel the eyes.
Well, the thing is, as well, it wasn't just listeners. We had people from my work who came along. Do you remember?
Yeah. And that, but obviously, when we get to talking about comics and stuff, that's always, it's just easy. We can just huff and puff with the best of them. But and
I remember I did that Vader review, and it's the one where Vader kind of he's got this kind of fangirl, and he kills the lady, and the room was quiet except for one person laughing. That was John Tucker, and I don't know if you've ever been in a room. One person laughs at something you said. That's almost as bad as no one, because that's like fuck. I've said something here that's quiet.
Who was the lady we had down who came along? Our buddy. She does Bubbles 07.
Oh God, my brain is going to be terrible this week.
We were going like, oh, thank God you're here. We've got a one woman in the room.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember Firehand came down and goes, oh, thank God we got, because it looked like it was because we found out later it was a pub that Nigel Farage used to use. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh God, people are going to think it's like a meeting of some political party upstairs or something.
Yeah. Whereas it was just a bunch of people just talking bollocks.
Drinking like fucking fish.
No change there then.
Exactly.
And that show was responsible for a couple of jokes. When you talk about genuine laughs from people, Dan, that's one of the ones. I made a joke in that one that I'm still proud of to this day.
Can't tell it again.
I'm not gonna. It wasn't. It was.
Just recount it.
You were laughing. I think we were talking about me breaking into people's houses or something like that with quiet shoes, and you and Tony were sort of picking on me, and you laughed in that sort of cheeky Dan Butcher way, and I just off the cuff said, "I wouldn't laugh, Dan. It's your house," and it was something like that. And that was when I heard everyone laugh. I just felt better about myself.
Yes.
I thought, yeah,
spun around.
Yeah.
I was knackered by the end of that day.
Yeah.
I remember that's the start of Tribute Press. I don't know if you know this. That's where Tribute Press started. Really? So I got the train back with Falpy, and he was kind of just talking. He was quite enthusiastic, and I'd been up since super early because it was free comic book days. Do you remember? Yeah. And he was talking at me, and I was just so exhausted. And then we sort of agreed that we'd make comics together.
You're saying, whatever, man.
On the train back. Yeah. But people came. I mean, didn't Phil Ludology get like the overnight coach or something?
Yeah.
Tom came down, and everyone was coming down, wasn't they? Yeah.
We're going to mention a couple of comments, but his Ludology's comment, fucking gold.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. I
grossly offensive, which I love.
Every time I see him, I laugh because he is Vince's nemesis. That's how I describe him. He is fucking brilliant.
I have Nemesis I. Nemesis I. I don't know. But it was a fun time. Obviously, money for charity.
Yeah, it was. We raised a lot of money, didn't we? Yeah,
it's
good.
So whenever we do something like that, it's never to be.
So this is yours as well, Tom. This is your second one.
So to be honest, I'd actually jump over to the 300 and 400, the online ones.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
right.
okay.
Just and there's an element of like Blow Mo and Trump. I just really liked how they were run. I know I was part of that, and I know I sort of played my.
No, you did great, man.
You're good.
And like I'm, most of the snapshots there are just me looking quite stressed while I'm trying to sort out.
And you're being genuinely a producer for the 300 and 400.
Oh, mate, there's been one occasion that I've had to run it, and I was fucking a mess. I know what's going on.
I just genuinely quite enjoyed running them, and like it's nice. The 200 is always going to hold a special place because it was nice to get all in the same room. But the 300 and 400, like during those points where we couldn't all meet up. I enjoy.
But we say every time, don't we? We've got to do an in real life, one for 500, don't we?
That'd be a good shout.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of. I know we're not doing the messages yet, but like a lot of people, some people wrote that they kind of like helped them get through
lockdown. Yeah, that was one of really nice comments, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think that's the reason we started off the drinking draws as well. Which Tom, again, off another cap to you there.
I'll be honest with you. You guys were just talking about it, and I was like, well, I've got a Zoom account at work. Why not I'll just do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'll just do it, And here we are.
So I think the sort of blanket sort of community little moments and events, the face-to-face. And sometimes when we've done sort of live shows, and if you've been there, whether it be online or you're there in person, we love you all, and it's amazing to have you there. But when I'm recording, I've got to shut that shit out, otherwise this will never get done. We turn our video cameras off when we do the normal weekly show because we'll just put each other off every fucking week.
Last time we did that Zoom one, I minimised the window so there's only the four of us on because I couldn't look at the faces. I couldn't. Right. I did open it up occasionally to look, and then I saw my face being used and Vince's on the background. Which is it's fucking hilarious, but it's really hard to keep yourself in the moment when you're seeing it.
Yeah. And we've remembered the names.
Yeah. But who's it, me now?
Yeah,
go
for it, Tony.
Okay, so my first one is Mark Miller. So, I've written it down, the end of Miller Watch. He's definitely superbly earned our respect in the last couple of years, Mark Miller,
and his continued actions over the past couple of weeks, months for me.
Yeah, he's just about putting out good comics and being enthusiastic about it. And I've got to say, they're not all. Well, currently all of his comics are my cup of tea. Literally everything he puts out, I'm absolutely loving. And we had him on. We finally. So when he started following us on Twitter years ago, and so we immediately messaged him because we're like fanboys. We immediately messaged him, asked him on, and that's when Miller Watch began. We told him about this, didn't we, Dan? We mentioned it to him. Yeah, he thought it was funny. And I think we got to 2,082 days or something. And he finally, I thought I'll cheekily send him another one. He said, "Yeah, go on in." And then we arranged it. And unfortunately, we arranged it. Vince, you'd messed up your calendar, hadn't you, or something? You thought you could do it, and then you couldn't. And we thought, oh fucking hell, we can't change it because he'll with it. But the good thing about it is he spoke to us about his comics, and he gave us loads of writing and creative advice. And then he said, "Now turn the recording off. I don't think you'll mind." And then we had a decent chat about comics. But it wasn't in any way nasty. It was like, where do you think comics is going, lads?
Yeah. I honestly think he appeared on a couple of podcasts there, and I think he was kind of like trying to find the lay of the land of like what people genuinely think about what's going on, and was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I've got to hold my hand up and say there's a lot of Miller's old stuff that I don't like. I think a lot of his stuff is really some of it is really edgy and try hard, and I feel like more the modern stuff, he's got like the corners rounded off. It's fucking gold. Like if you're gonna say that Nemesis Reloaded to the original series, like
much better.
Nemesis Reloaded is what Nemesis should have been. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of like he's got better and better, and
in many ways, King of Spies is an elder statesman of the Secret Service. Really, when you look at it that way, and
oh, I absolutely love it. Yeah, most of the stuff he's putting out now, I'm just all over it.
Yeah. And he's trying to do the right thing. He's democratizing comics. He's saying, I saw him say this week, don't put up with people who think they can't speak to you because you follow someone else. He doesn't care.
Bollocks.
He's making comics cheap. So he's put that, Fight Club has been put out cheaply because he wants people to buy them. Because he has said to us he's listened to us. So I'm hoping that he does.
Yeah.
But I think that was we've had some great guests on with some people who I've, loved for years and years and years, creators, one's coming up in a minute. But I think that interview, we did a lot of revising, Dan, didn't we? We were back and forward a lot about what about this and what about that.
Didn't want to fuck it up, man.
Yeah. And I think we were the first of all the podcasts. So he did ours and then he went on to a few others.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he started his own.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, it's a good way to kind of everyone
starts one at one point. Everyone's done
But, that's interesting.
That's my
a good
first
shout.
one.
Good shout.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, thanks, man.
Okay.
Good.
Tom. Oh, I suppose
we've done your second one.
Did I steal your second one, Tom?
You sort of shared it. Let's think of it as sharing.
Go on. What else have you got?
You listen. Oh, okay. So my last one out of the three I put together, episode 311, and she's great in all the episodes she's on. Danielle Toot.
Oh yeah, she's good. Yes. Yeah, she's great.
You know, just someone who loves comics.
Yeah, absolutely. Encyclopedia. Like we threw questions at her, like, "What do you get for so and so?" And okay, this.
I wish that was my local comic shop. I've got to tell you, for having people in it like that who are going to recommend stuff and talk about creators and know what they're talking about, brilliant. Yeah.
Just there's always something interesting about hearing someone who knows the subject inside and out talk. And it doesn't matter if you've got no interest in the subject at all, or if it's something you care about, or something you have no previous experience on. and Danielle just clearly loves it.
The stuff in my work I couldn't care less about and I have no interest in, but I have to know.
Yeah.
For my job,
But hearing someone who's insightful and eloquent and knows what they're talk about a subject they care about, just pays for itself, frankly. And she's gone on every episode she's on, and just 311 was the first one that came up when I was searching for it. So
there's a nice little Christmas buying guide we tend to do, don't we?
No, she was really good. So that was my last. That's my 3.
Cool. Yeah. It's nice. Like whenever we can speak to someone like on the other side of the counter from like comic books, especially like indie comic book shops and all those sort of knowledgeable people who just, rather than. And we've also told some stories of like walked in a comic book shop and didn't even get they didn't look at us, they didn't even didn't even treat us like people when we bought comics. There's those moments. Yeah. So when we talk to a comic store, that you can tell as soon as they're talking that they just genuinely, love the medium, and it's nice when they feel like they can open up about the difficulties sometimes. Obviously with the pandemic and everything, it was a tough time for especially independent stores.
Comic companies stopped sending comics out. They stopped making them for a while.
Yeah. So to sort of like put a positive spin on it, and like hopefully, who knows, listener, are you someone that's heard someone on this show and thought, oh, that shop's not far from me. And headed in there for the first time. I know there's most of the people we talk to, their stores, I want to go in there one day, but they're usually too far from me, so I can't exactly just pop out. But I love all that. Like when I like talking to people from different facets of the comic book industry, because it is an industry as well as a hobby. It is business and it is money, but it's also massively creative and wonderfully inspiring. So, good shout, Tom. That was a good one. I love the fact that you've got specific episode
numbers.
That's quality.
Yeah.
I've got a couple that sort of were in the running, and that was when me and you doing the quizzes, Vince. Which which are always kind of like we're never absolutely smashing it. I think the only reason
you always just pull it out of the bag at the end.
It's the comic house round comes into its own. And we sort of put it back, and then the other team don't have any clue.
But we didn't have the comic house round in the last one, did we? I don't think we did we?
I think you did. Yeah, I tend to put it in every time just because they're our sponsors. But then again, if it's in every time, people can revise it. Yeah, that's the thing with that one. Yeah.
So there you go.
Got to the point where at one point I made a championship belt.
You did. That's right.
A duct tape and cardboard, and then Dan got like
I bought one off of Child's Toy off of eBay, and Vince bought the same one. So we
both got a WWE tag team.
You're still 100%, aren't you?
Yeah.
Was it 4 out of 4? You won 4 out of 4, didn't you?
If we got beat, I would send that belt to them.
Yeah.
That's the if's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that.
Yeah. We're never having another quiz again.
Going out big.
Yeah.
Also, the other one I was going to mention was when we had Durf Batdurf on, and we was talking Kent State.
That's such good. Yeah.
It was good.
It was one of those books that I got more out of when we spoke to Durf about it, and he could kind of narrate a lot of what was going on and kind of bring to perspective some of the stuff he had put in the book and his making of the book. And am I right in thinking back that he grew up and he was something to do with that area? No, it's in the book.
No, you're thinking of my cousin Dharma.
Yeah, Dharma.
Because he was friends with Dharma, wasn't he, when he was a kid?
That's right.
Yeah. But he did do an awful lot of research on that book, didn't he? Yeah.
The same with my friend Dharma. Like you went on that one in NIA, and I went back and read that, and I was like, fucking hell. There's one scene of that which just absolutely fucking was like,
haunts you. Yeah.
This is comics, man.
Yeah. That's a hell of a book, that. Yeah.
He kind of goes through this agonizing decision of not killing this dog, and then he does like the reverse, and there's loads of fucking dogs he's killed.
I don't know what he's doing on now, actually, Durf. I must have a look, see what he's up to now, what he's creating next. Yeah. Good. Shall I do my next one?
Yeah.
Yes. So mine one links into one of yours, V, I think, is the Awesome Comics Pod and the Mills family have dinner. So this happened. I think it was after the 40th, wasn't it? And we all went out for dinner. And it was
2000 AD 40th, which
is already in. And it was Pat and Lisa had a couple of friends who were super nice. Who apologies, I can't remember the name. And there was us, and it was just a chuckle all the time. But then we insisted that you pitch Vince and his Cat Army to Pat as a comic idea.
I didn't pitch that. I listened as other people pitched their stuff. Dan had a wonderful one, and then this fucking Cat Army thing that was thrust upon me was sort of pushed at Pat, and then he looked at, like, being told that I came up with this, looked at me in such a way that made me feel awful about myself. And even though I was nothing to do with it, I wanted to say sorry.
Yeah,
but Pat's the nicest bloke in the world, man. I'm sure he was trying to be nice. It's just but it's lovely. What a day! And I remember we had pictures with a couple of the ABC Warriors, didn't we, and all that sort of thing. And that was a hell of a day for us.
Just going around, looking at the artwork, trying on the various bits of Judge Dredd movie prop stuff. That was fun. Bumped into Gareth, Sarah, loads of
Guy, my mate Guy from work. Yeah. John Freeman was there. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah. God. Yeah. Great day.
Just pivoting slightly, and when you mentioned Gareth, when Pat turned up for the first drink and draw, and Gareth's quite perfect. Like, everyone tries to act incredibly cool at one point. Like, we've been talking shit all night, and Pat turns on, and everyone goes incredibly quiet. So we just listen to him talk for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's good. It's lovely that he turns up to those. He's done it a couple of times now, hasn't it?
It's brilliant. Yeah, just really, like, Gareth's all got it in one. Frankly, it was just the whole everyone just tries to be very cool, very still, as if, like, if we didn't move, he might stay along for a bit longer.
Because with the way with those drink and draws, you get the name come up first, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it came up with Mills first or something. I think it came up with on the screen, and then
Pat's you wanted all that I'm sure Pat would have stayed forever. I think we had to sort of prompt and say, we'd love to do the entire Pat Mills show, but we got to kind of move this one on. But I'd fucking listen to him talk all day.
Yeah, email me yesterday with some exciting news I can't share.
You did that interview on stage.
Oh, of course I did. Yeah. Oh dear, and we mentioned furries, and I pointed at you two.
It won't be the first time, and it won't be the last time Tony Isman stitches up me and Vince
in a room full of literally hundreds of people. Pat, for whatever reason, mentioned furries, and I just turned around and pointed at you two in like the fifth row. Went, oh yeah, look, yeah. Well, that's a real privilege to do that, man. That was great, and to see at the end there, when he got the standing ovation, like, fuck, that was a moment, man. Really incredible. Yeah,
it must have been kind of for Pat, like, mate, you got all these fucking avid fans here, and most of them couldn't even get into this event because it sold out. So there's loads of them,
and he's the man who created the comic.
Yeah,
it's his baby. Yeah, it's just amazing. And I said to him when we did the interview, I said, look, I gave him a list of the questions. So I said, look, I think it's better if we prepared. You know what I mean? I don't want to just drop things on. You know, to be insightful in an interview, I sort of tend to share some of the questions with people. You know, and I said, I'm keeping a couple back at the end, just because I want your reaction. He went, okay. And then I dropped the whole, what's your greatest comic creation? And you could see him thinking, and it was like quiet in the room. It just went quiet. And then he said, Nemesis Warlock. And then there was a massive round of applause.
Yeah.
Wow. That was so great.
Some guy put some really tough questions his way, and fucking Pat handled them.
Yeah.
With finesse. It was really well done.
Yeah, no, really good.
Real.
Yeah. That was yours as well, V, wasn't it? The 40th?
Well, I've got another. I've got one more and a brief mention, I think.
Okay. I've got one more.
Yeah.
Who's got them left? You done?
I could fucking talk about all night about the things, but I've mentioned more than three.
Okay. Do you want to do yours, V?
Yeah. Mine would be that memorable year where we did the Awesome Comics Anthology and the True Believers show, where we launched the first issue. The busiest show we've done. It was one day, but can't believe how busy.
I think we figured out we'd sold like over 100 comics by the end of the day.
It was
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For us anyway.
Yeah. And we met new creators, bought some new comics.
Steve Sims, he was at it when he
that's the Battle Badgers where James Gibbs.
But that whole that whole sort of not experiment, but that process of doing that sort of anthology over the year. I've still got pictures, the little picture framed of us there at the launch of issue 1
with Nick, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nick
Products,
yeah. I think we sort of said we're going to do this because to show that it can be done. I would already done it, but
let's do it. Let's stick to a sort of schedule. Let's release four issues every year. 3 different stories. Dan, obviously, Viper went from strength to strength.
Yeah.
I fucked up the first time I did it at the wrong page size, and he was like, right. "These are the wrong page sizes, Dan." And like, I went to bed that night, and I was like, "I can't sleep," and I had to get up and read all the pages and send them back to Vince.
The comics are like that.
It really bugged me. I couldn't fucking
they're getting
let that slide.
Yeah. But that was also, just the learnings, collaboration, trying to get those 10, like the structure of a 10-page chapter sorted, the timing of it, getting cover artwork together, thinking up the funny letters, just the putting together, that whole process was a real joy, I think, over that year. And
this one might be applicable to you. What's the kind of the trickiest bit of comic book stuff you've ever had to do?
The trickiest bit of comic book stuff I've ever had to do.
Stroke hardest bit of work.
It's usually, go on, Tom.
I've got an answer, but I'm going to wait till you're finished because I don't think you're going to say it. So I'm going to wait till the end.
Okay.
This is going to sound weird, but doing artwork for anyone else but me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. Because I chip away at my own psyche, and I just like.
This is good enough.
This isn't good enough. Is this what they want?
Because you did stuff for Mandy the Monster.
Yeah. I worked with Hellbound Media. I've done a couple of shorts. It's been fun, and certainly I've got original pages, folders of original pages, but there's just the crippling disbelief in my own ability that's all like, oh fucking hell, if anyone asks me to do this, I want to do it, but then whereas if it's me, I can just say that shit and then bin it off or go, oh yeah, that'll do, and push it through. But it's different doing artwork for someone else necessarily. The lettering and design, wheelhouse. I'm alright with that.
Yeah, you're irrelevant.
There's a confidence.
I've seen your lettering for the strip we got coming up in DUI 3, and you smashed it on that.
Oh,
you two are busy doing lettering, aren't you?
Yeah. That's mine anyway. What's everyone else's?
T, you got one? You think of?
Yeah, the most difficult thing is the thing I'm writing at the moment.
Okay.
That's quite a difficult thing. And I've approached artists, but I haven't sent them any scripts yet. So it's sort of that's where it sits.
Right.
From previous, I would say I probably can't, because I did it in a pen name. I edited and sort of basically rewrote something for someone. That was very hard work. That was like a whole graphic novel. There's 2 in the series. A pen name's in the first one, and the second one hasn't got my name in it.
Was that a lot of back and forth hard work, or trying to find?
It was a foreign creator, and it was it needed sort of restructuring and rewriting and stuff, and I was having to keep in mind the poetry of the foreign language by the creator, and also write it so it made sense as well. And it took me a long time to do that. That's probably the most difficult thing I've done. Yeah. What about you, Dan?
I've got 2. One, remember that book Assault on Fortress Doom or something?
Oh wow, yeah.
The guy was looking for this person to do character portraits of all these people that backed on Kickstarter, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll give it a go. And he wanted something like 50 or 60 of them done, and like it was about a 4 or 5 day turnaround.
Oh wow,
that was fucking hard work. That was really hard. I had to bust my fucking hump to get that done. Second one was the one that sticks out in my mind is when I did the strip with John Late for the Comic House issue 1.
Oh right.
Like this, it's like a 6-page strip, but John packed in so much in that first comic. It was really fucking tough to kind of like get all these elements working. There's a lot of text, a lot of stuff going on. I had to kind of illustrate it all. And that was one of the times I sort of worked with a writer that I didn't really know that well, and I was like, bloody hell, this is tough, man. Like, I can see like if you've not built up a familial bond with the writer first and you know what they're going to do, just kind of be given a script. I was like, whoa, this is. It was tough trying to get it to work, but fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, it's the challenges you come out the other side of. Fun. Yeah.
Tom, have we not mentioned one?
I was going to mention the marketing.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The constant draw of the thing you have to do after the comics.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I don't even bother with it half the time.
Because making it is 25%, then you've got to try and get rid of it.
I've actually sort of walked beyond that point now, and I believe it to be the creativity bit is the bit we all love, you know, and it has its challenges, like you said there, D. But you know, that's what we're all fucking really digging. Yeah. But the rest is capitalism, and I've never had a job involving anything to do with other than my brief foray at No-Brow of doing conventions. I don't understand how that sort of thing works, and I have no interest in it, and I fucking don't care about it really.
But there are lots of creators who it's a big part of their.
Yeah, if you want to make a living, you know, if you want to sell a product and make make 45% sales on it or whatever you're going to do, then you got to consider it.
And if I make a comic, I do want it to sell.
I want people to read it. I
want people to read it as well. I don't want fucking loads of boxes in my house.
No.
He turns around and looks at
you can understand.
But there's a difference between making your money back.
Yeah.
And making a lot of money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I want to sell my books, but I'm not going to sell my books for 300% more than they should be.
That's the problem.
That's
the point. I think that you see a lot of people in this, in this hobby and this industry and stuff who don't understand the fact they actually work in something that is capitalism.
Competitive.
Yeah. And I think also because if you're a sort of one man sort of pony show, if you're doing it all yourself. It's sort of easier to sort of say, well, as long as I make the printing back, I'm happy.
Yeah.
When there's other outgoings, it's
I've lost money on every comic I've ever made.
Yeah.
I say with like the market stuff with Vanguard, like I'm banging out those 2 pages a week. I'm working like pretty much every day trying to get these 2 pages done. And when it comes to like keep pushing it online, I do one kind of push out and then maybe one a bit more later in the day, but. I see some people that are just on it all day, every day, like tweeting about their comic. I'm doing this art.
Desperate, man. It's desperate.
It's really fucking hard to keep
I think the thing is, as well, I'm not sure how much effect it's having these days. And I only say that from the point of view of the numbers on this podcast.
Yeah.
Now, no matter how many times we put out, here's the Spotify link in case you're not on, Apple or something, makes no difference.
No.
Some episodes go through the roof and some don't. And we have never been able to figure out why.
Because we tried it on YouTube, didn't we? Like I did like some of the stuff with the intros. We had our faces.
Somebody
had
said to us, "Oh, YouTube's great," and all this sort of thing.
I looked back, and some of the ones have got like 12 views. Like we did it for like 2 months, I think. I did with the title cards, and I animated covers up like the covers and stuff. And it's like people are not watching it via there, so there's no point doing it. I think the audience had come on. They come from a different platform, so that was never.
I did it with NIA. I thought, right, I'm actively not going to support this one, post about it or anything. Made exactly the same numbers as the others.
Right, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
it's you can see why people employed so many people employed in marketing, so much money's pumped into it because also the strange art.
Also, never forget, gents, we've been doing this for 8 years and we have a following.
Yeah, I think we
are very thankful.
We did it when you could. I think that's the point, though. I think we promoted it in markets, if you want to call Twitter and stuff like that, when they actually did some good.
Yeah,
and I think
when you could get to the people you were trying to get to.
Then now it just doesn't matter anymore, does it?
Well,
I
think a lot of times it recommends nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
I'll tell you,
found us.
The new followers we've had recently have been from postcards I put in the.
There you go.
In the comics that we sent out from Tribute, because I bought a load of postcards and I stick them out whenever I'm somewhere.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Wherever, whenever, or however you listen to the show, we appreciate every single one of the downloads we have, or listens.
Oh, totally.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And that'll go for now. That'll go for episode 500. Totally. That goes for everything beforehand. So, and also, if you listen to this show, hopefully you discover some new books to check out, and you enjoy some creator talk. The other one, I've
got one more to do as well.
Yeah. Well, do you want to take it away, Tony? And
No, you do yours, man. I'll go after you. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think one of the highlights for me of this show, sometimes making comics or just reading, like the hobby in general, and sometimes whether you're checking out social media, it can be a bit. Any hobby, anything. Sometimes there's a certain. The stamina goes at the end of a week, and sometimes I've gone into a recording thinking, right, okay, we're talking about this. My ideas are, you could be having a bad week. Everything you write or you draw is shit, and you're really pissed off. But when we come into the show, it's like, right, okay, we have fun recording.
Yes, we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't.
And I've lost count of the amount of times that I've gone in at a certain tempo, and I've finished the recording and been really completely adrenalized. I've been totally sort of creatively rejuvenated. I've been thinking about lots of different things, and I've made notes for loads of stuff. And some creators, when you talk to them as well, there's just a real enthusiasm that sort of bleeds through the microphone, as it were.
Like Mason Jack Namara last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jason McNamara is one of the ones on the list. I've got Nick Patara, Doug Wagner. Mm-hmm. There's loads of ones that I'm hooked in, and it's a real sort of adrenaline shot. And that works for so many creators that we've talked to. That hearing other people talk about it in this wonderful medium, or hearing you guys recommend books or talk about certain things, and I suddenly realise, I discover new things, and I get energy from discovering things as well.
Totally.
New creators, new books, new ways to do things. And this show's just a constant sort of surprise and a shot in the arm. And I love those moments that have happened since year one all the way through. I'm not saying this is a recent thing. This is since year one, where it's been like, wow, a door has been opened to a new realm of comics, and that I really love. And I just love... I love that Lucasade energy hit. Do you remember the little tablets you got for Lucasade?
Oh, yeah.
Remember them? Yeah. Probably intensely bad for you.
Yeah, carcinogenic. They were good.
Yeah. But sometimes you just get a buzz from comics. And I love those moments in those episodes. They give me life. What's your other one, Tony?
My last one, am I? It's the last one. So,
I think so.
Guys, yeah. Mine's a bit of an emotional one, really. But in 2019, I was very. I haven't really talked about it online. I think we talked a bit about the maniacs I had to share a hospital bed with, or hospital room with, and but I was quite seriously ill then, and it was very much touch and go for about 24 hours, 48 hours, as whether I was going to make it or not. And I started getting, when I was coming to in a hotel in a hospital room, I was getting. My wife was bringing in cards, and RLC bought me a chocolate bar. Just shit like that. I got cards and all kinds of gifts coming through from people, and when I could actually focus and see my phone screen, people were sending me lots of messages, and a lot of those people were listeners who I'd never met, to be fair, and it was really nice. It genuinely helped me. So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for that. Yeah,
there is a wonderful community of people that have come together. I mean, in part through this show, but once they've gotten past the show, there's a wonderful community of people that are just helping each other out, and we obviously want to see that grow. That's the show may have planted the seed, but so much more has grown up because of it. Collaborations, friendships, meetups, everything. That has just been wonderful to see, and that's something that I think we've mentioned it a few times before in past shows, but it's nice to see that something that the community beyond the show, this little sort of bubble of very positive people that just ignore the white noise, ignore the miserable bastards or this, that, and the other. We fuck the mire. Let's talk about comics and how they're fucking awesome, and we appreciate every single one of you, whether we're involved in the chat or not. It's as simple as that. It has been very emotional.
Yeah, been emotional.
Yeah. Tom, you have to speak on behalf of every single listener we've ever had. No. I'm not going to do that. No,
especially the ladies.
Don't do that to me. Do you want to go into our the next bit in terms of the classic pick?
Yes, we do.
Or unless you want to. Do you want to do the reading first? The readers, the shout. Yes. Sorry, the lesson. The lesson.
Jesus Christ. Look, I wrote a list of what the show was doing before we started, and it's just gone out the fucking window.
That was the recommendations, though. We're going to do the shout-outs now,
No,
mate.
stay in the shouts. Anyway, but we will do this because it segues on from what I just said. Because
I thought so, yeah.
We put a little on the Slack community, which is my great, wherever you came from online. If you want to be part of the Slack community, please get in touch and you can join that wonderful group of people. There's loads of different channels. This is normally a plug at the end of the show, but I will reiterate it. There are channels and different group chats, everything going on there, and it's lovely to see. But I popped on in a rare sort of like, hello everyone. And I started a channel. The other guys had to help me actually do it technically because
I was sitting in the car doing it.
Yeah. But just sort of saying, if there's anything you've enjoyed about the show, feel free to post it. And we had some honestly wonderful messages from lots of people. Thank you for taking time out of your day to write.
We were choked up, man.
Truly lovely things. Funny, from the funny to the heartfelt to the. It just lots of people making comics as well or getting back into the hobby. We truly appreciated every single one. You didn't have to be so nice, but because you were, Tony's got a list to read out.
Right, it's a lengthy list, so I'm going to go fast. Hold on.
Go.
Kieran Squires, Sarah Webb, Tommy Boy Curry, Matt Bunce, Pete Dorey, Andrew Clemson, Johnny Cannon, Drew Hurd, Stephen McCamsky, Steve Ingrams, Dave Cranner, Matt Strott, Simon Russell, Jordan Thomas, John Otto, not a murderer, John Otway, Mark Abnett, Cliff Cumber, JWC, Al Henderson, Eamon Clark, Bert DeCuis, Alan Purdy, Ben Clark, Alex Hain, Connor, who's a new member, Phil, Ludology, McFarlane, Vince's nemesis, I've written in brackets, Gareth Hopkins, Neil Holden, Gary Watson, Zach Cobb, Rory Donald, Pete Watson, Jason Garrettley, David Livens, Nick Bryan, Pete the PXD Davis, Daryl Thorpe, Adam Falp, Alan Harvey, Lynn Follows, Ed Whiting, Charles Raymond, Sean Metcalf, Matt Simmons, Dave Hingley, Martin Feekins, Nico Chi, and Cole Henley. There you go. 50 names.
That's not bad, is it? Lovely bunch of people.
Yes, very, very nice. And if you're listening to this and you're not part of the Slack or whatever, we love you too. Because you're all awesome and you listen to this. Tony loves you, don't you, Tony?
Yeah, this message will self-destruct, but I kind of do.
Hey! Took 8 years.
Edit that out, you bastard. Edit it out.
I don't do any editing. But no, we truly appreciate all the support. And just stay tuned. I think that's the best way to say it. Stay tuned.
Yeah, got a good next week.
Yeah, there's more comics coming. Speaking of comics,
have we said here's to another 8 years yet, or should we wait for that?
Let's not make any promises. Let's not write checks our asses can't cash.
I'll be in my 60s by then. Why has it gone quiet?
Oh man, I was going to start getting quiet if I'd write this out.
Oh dear. But let's take our teeth out of the glass, pop them back in our mouth, and we're going to mention some of the classics in our term, like what we've discovered and loved. We thought we'd pick out some more titles just to remind you people to check out. This isn't going to be a whole big recommendation section because we got that at the end of the show, but this is just a case of like, hey, I mentioned this once, check it out. That was a bit. What the
we
hell
picked
was
a
it?
gem out, didn't we, from the early days or the run of it? Yeah.
But who would like? I'll tell you what, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom.
I was ready for it.
The listener goes first.
Yeah. So my classic pick for comic was Infinite Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Which Vince recommended on the martial arts special, which I believe was 97.
Jesus Christ.
I fucking did my work. You didn't,
You've done more work than we've done in 8 years. Go
on. And I mean, okay. So if you'll indulge me for a second, this choice particularly, one of the things that is good about this show is obviously there's 3 of you. You all have different tastes in comics, and this is Vince's recommendation for that Kung Fu comic. He got it for £1 on eBay. I know that because I've had the eBay alert set up myself to try and find it myself, and it's kind of like 17 quid ever since. It's never been on for £1.
I know. I can't believe that. It's a fucking it's a chunky book as well.
It's a great book, and I've got a copy now. But yeah, it was just such a good book. And it just sort of cemented of like, okay, this aspect of when Vince recommends books, I know that's something I'm going to enjoy too. And do you know what I mean? And but the same with all three of you, right? There's aspects of like, oh, when Dan recommends this kind of book, I know I'm going to really like this, or if he recommends that sort of thing, it's not really my cup of tea, but that's okay as well.
Yeah,
Because that means I don't buy something. That means I don't buy something I don't want, because I kind of know when, you know, if Tony recommends a certain thing, then hey, that works for me or it doesn't work for me, and that's all good too. And this is just like the first time I was like, oh, cool. When Vince recommends this kind of thing and he talks about these aspects, oh yeah, I probably will like that book as well, so I'll check it out. And it's
You bought me this book, Tom.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely book.
It was just a really good book, really well told, and like, just love it. Love it to bits.
Fantastic. Yeah, great choice. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. There you go.
Awesome. Dan, Tony, who wants to go next?
Go on, Dan.
Do you reckon you'd be able to guess mine? I mention it often.
You mention it often?
Yeah.
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that, man. Because
as soon as I say
something by Imber.
No. As soon as I say, you'd be like, "Oh yes, of course."
Is it Punisher Max?
No.
Okay.
Is it indie? It's an indie comic.
Yeah.
Is it a web comic?
No.
Is it British small press?
Avery Hill.
Follow Me In.
Yes.
Follow Me In.
Yes.
This title was absolutely stuck with me over the years. I kind of. I think it was near the start of the podcast when I was sort of like, these are the comics I like. I don't like other comics. Yeah. And then we read this and I was like, it was kind of like the curtains being drawn, and I was like, fuck me, there's actually like a lot of good comics that are not in the genre I usually go for. And I've read others that are as good.
A diary travel. Did you think when we started the show, a diary / travel log autobio book would be
by a London micro publisher?
Yeah. And just looking back at sort of when we spoke to Kat about it and all the stuff she was going through with her life and her partner at the time, and the drawing she had actually done on the holiday stroke backpacking
beautiful
journey
art man as well.
Yeah, and that had all been incorporated into the book. It was amazing.
That's a big shout by them and by her to do it in a quite it wasn't overly expensive, but you know, an expensive format. If you put it that way, nice hardback book. Yeah, I got mine on myself here.
It's an absolutely lovely book. I'd recommend it. It's, as I often do, it's a fantastic book. And I think we went and Kat came on with a second one. Was it Breakwater?
Breakwater. Yeah, that's a great book.
And again, like I think after speaking to it, we got so much more out of that book.
Yeah, we did. That was another one of the ones. Yeah. I actually enjoyed it more by interacting with her. Yeah.
I prefer Follow Me In, but
I think so.
I think that's such a high benchmark that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To not hit that mark again is like,
it's more of an adventure for me. Follow Me In as well, you know, because it's in another country, and you know that sort of thing. You're learning about the outside stuff. No, they're both good. Both good.
Very good shot. Very good shots.
Shall I do mine?
Yeah, go on.
Mine's easy. Chris Wildgoose and Ben Reed's Porcelain 3-volume series.
Fucking amazing.
I got the ash can, which is cunningly in a bag and boarded originally when I met Christian at the second Kapow, which shows how long ago that was, and loved it and reviewed it, and they used that review on the book to advertise the actual full book, if you see what I mean. And met Christian. There was Christian I met at that, and who's I'm very good friends with now, and we text, you know, probably every other week, which we're chatting on the phone or something. But that book, by the time you got to no spoilers, but by the time you got to the third book, broke me. I was a mess reading that book.
Really tough.
Yeah, and also he's another one, a bit like Martin Simmons, a bit like some of those guys, you know, who we adore, and we've adored for years since they were in the sort of small press indie world, and now they're just fucking killing it internationally. And I couldn't be more pleased for those guys, you know, and Christian and Martin especially, who just
order Christian's new book is because it's being out in shops soon. So any
it's out
orders
now.
And that. Oh, it's out now. Any orders that or purchases really help. And we'd all recommend that because we read it.
Amazing book. And he did Batgirl, he did a Batman book, and you know, this sort of thing. And you think, fucking hell, this is amazing. I'm so glad, you know, that actually people who deserve to be working at the big two, from as much as we moan about them, you know, or the big comic companies, some people do deserve to be there, and those two guys are definitely it. But Porcelain, just a beautiful, original, clever, well drawn, well written, well thought out story that should also be a movie.
Oh God, totally.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
I'd love
and almost is
3 seasons of on a channel, like maybe like 6 episodes of each piece. Really, really well done. Like, and the kind of the story from one to the other changes as you follow this character. She grows up in her life, and people come in and out of it.
Yeah, and who's good and who's bad, and
great. I
really
feel
clever.
like rereading the fucking thing now.
Yeah, the end of that third book, man, fucking hell, hit me.
Yeah,
large. Yeah. Good. That's my one.
Great.
There you
go. Great pick.
I've got a couple. One of which I have sort of gone back to sort of read in a different way. So that's going to be my recommend this week. So Scattergun, there's 3 titles I just want to mention. And I had a lot more, but just narrowing them down. One of them was Eternal by Ryan K. Lindsay. Was it Chips? Where's the bloody credits here now? I can't bloody not here.
Shout out to Aaron Rackley, because he sent me a copy of this, because I didn't have a copy. I remember I couldn't get it.
Nice.
Eric Zavadsky, D.
that's it.
And Ryan K. Lindsay.
That's right.
I couldn't stop talking about this book.
We've had most of those guys on, haven't we?
Yeah, we have indeed. That's a classic sort of a Viking story of revenge and just amazing, absolutely amazing. It was, when I read it, I thought that's the kind of comics I want to make. Edison Neo's Snake Claws from a Discovery.
He's another one, Nate. He's another one who's now doing Usagi, and you're like, yes, come on.
From a 79p small press Discovery on Comixology to being a friend of the show and a personal fave creator. Snake Claws.
He met up with mine, didn't he, when he was doing Singapore Comic Con? Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah.
So I got a Neo comic art for Edison stuff, because it's just fucking awesome anyway. With his Kickstarters, I know he's doing gangbusters at the moment, but Snake Claws was the original martial arts fun little tale of following a villain, which was hella fun. So
I'm glad I got another one. I'm glad I got the paper copies of that, because they're boarded now, ready to earn millions from in the future.
And the last one was another book. I sort of go back to books that I just can't stop talking about over the years. One that we won't see any more of.
Oh no! Don't, you're gonna break my heart. You're gonna break my heart with this.
Everyone knows. If you've listened to the show, you might know that I'm going to mention Outer Darkness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God.
Which 2 volumes of one of my favourite comic book series.
They should be sending us a check, because I reckon we sold most of what they sold.
Ever.
Well, you bought me. You get buying people it.
Yes. So good. John Layman, obviously of Chew fame, and Afu Chan, who's an amazing artist, who has amazing creators as well. Not enough people knew about this, and obviously it's died on the vine with Skybound and whatever, which makes me bitter. I'm still bitter about it. Lord knows how John Layman feels about it, because I think legally, contracts and stuff, he hasn't got the rights to it in a certain way.
Okay.
But this was, Star Trek mixed with the Exorcist, like fucking space exorcists, demons, and all kinds, sci-fi and horror, and it was fucking phenomenal. I ranted about it over and over. If you're a new listener, if you go back a couple of years, every time I would talk about this book until I forced people to read it, and thankfully they quite liked it too. So and the 2 volumes though that you can read are fucking brilliant. So if you haven't read it yet, get on it, because it is really good. They're very proudly sitting in my collection. But yeah, that was one of the first big kicks in the stomach for comic series you follow. Have any of you sort of experienced that? God, I love this comic, and it's just taken away from you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's fucking many times.
Yeah. And it
breaks my heart. Master of Kung Fu when it ended. Yeah. I hadn't even heard it was going to end. The only reason I knew back then was reading it. Oh my God, it's just ended.
When it's like there's an ending, there's closure. It's real fucking great. When like it's just gone, and like the characters that you were invested in, their stories are never going to be told. You're kind of like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Had a bit of it when Berserk, obviously the creator of that, passed away.
Yeah.
He left extensive notes, and people in his studio knew what he wants to do, and he's got one of his closest friends who draws very similar to them is going to carry on the wrap up the story.
Okay.
So there is that, but yeah, you're like, fucking hell, it's hard.
Earlier on, someone on our WhatsApp group compared his sword to their penis.
Yeah,
see a doctor.
Absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine. Let's see a chopper now. Go on, Tom.
It's too heavy to be called a chopper.
No. I was just thinking about the question. It's a good question. A lot of stuff I read comes from natural ends anyway. But I know. But that kind of the thing with Vast Darkness was taken too soon.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Which is the real problem with it, frankly.
Yeah, so. When it's got 2 volumes and you see other series that you just think, how on earth have you got?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
He kind of reinvented himself in the end of the second volume as well. So, oh my god, this is going completely different now. And then you're like, just stopped.
Yeah. Perhaps, and it'd probably be a depressing show, so we have to put a positive spin on it. Perhaps there's a show to talk about, comics that were taken too soon. It's hard to say in this day and age when they just repackage, reboot, and repackage everything.
Who knows, eh?
But who knows? Let us know, listeners, if there's any comics that you wish were still around, that you'd love to read new stories of. But yeah, lots of comics there. We just wanted to do a brief sort of like hold the flag up for them again, and I think if you check out any one of those titles, you will be a very happy comic book reader. And we're going to have some more recommendations in a minute. But first, first, do we have any shout-outs, Jen?
I've got a couple.
Extensive.
Yeah. Have you? So sign up for the Whip Comics Anthology Change, featuring at least a couple of our buddies. It's on the sort of sign-up page on Kickstarter at the moment. If you go to Whip Comics, Joe Stone, I think, runs the account. On Twitter, you'll get the link to the sign-up page. That's good. I know Zach's in it. I think need a couple of other people.
Yes, he's that's well in the show notes. And yeah, there we go.
Cool. Bet Noir from our buddy, and we just mentioned him, Mr. Clemson, and Chris Watanabe. HDE and edited by Matt Hardy, is now on Kickstarter. It's bound to smash its goal, but get on board. You can get, it's one of those ones where you can get all the issues through if you've missed it so far. Andrew's a good writer, so go and have a look at that one. There you go, they're my 2.
Nice. Dan.
I did have a couple, but Tony's covered them, so I'll
right, sorry, man.
No, it's fine. Makes my life easier. We've got Knave of Hearts, issue 1 to Comic Con, Sarah Webb. Bring my finished comic, Knave of Hearts, to Comic Con, a steampunk comic where gods stir up trouble, humanity is screwed. Sarah's just kicked off a Patreon as well. Go check that out if you're interested in kind of the comic work she's put out. She sent me issue 1. I've yet to read it, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll be doing that this week. Give another shout out to the ACP/recommends.Vercel.app, where it's updated each week with thumbnails and information links about the links, the comics we recommended on the previous show. They're all there. You click and you can go and check the comics out. It's a great resource for if you listen to the show and you want to pick up some of the comics that we've recommended in it.
So what was the URL again, Dan, for that?
I'll read it out. It's, where would I put it? ACP-recommends.Vercel.app. There you go.
Oh, nice. So definitely check that because it's just really, really cool. Thank you very much for that. So, cool. Tom, do you have any shout-outs?
No, I'm fine.
Nice.
Thanks for asking.
Tom's knees.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of them.
We'll shout out them. Lovely.
No, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for asking.
Well, I'm going to ask you again, Tom, because now it's time for the recommendation section of the show where...
No, it's okay.
Where, of course, we're going to give you some other titles to go forth and check out. And guest always goes first. Tom, what would you like to recommend to our lovely listeners?
I would like to recommend Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin. This you'll find periodically in like your Gosh, in your it's in my local comic shop Excelsior. So Gundam, as most of you will know, is this massive giant robot series. And it was started in the 70s, and it's big and impenetrable and hard to get into it.
I always sort of, I remember like with the previews catalogs, marveling over the pages of all the kits and what they looked like, and they were cool, and I didn't understand any of it.
And this is where this comes in. This is a nice single. You can find issue 1. It's not a big search for it. Issue 1 is this beautiful, lovely hardbound, about sort of a slight in between A4 and A5 size. Beautiful visuals. This lovely sort of watercolory sort of like color pages at the front, and it gets into like some nice solid mangaing after that. And it just tells the original story for you to get into it. And where this story as a whole shines is it's less about giant robots punching each other and more about the political machinations of the people behind it. And that's kind of the fun thing about Gundam as a whole, where it's such a widespreading series. If you really like the punching robots, you can find that. But if you want the sort of the more Littlefinger style political talking, you can get that too. You can also have like, hey, this is basically North Africa on Mars, and we're going to deal with this. Really good. Really good, really interesting, really great series. And this is just a nice sort of like entry point for those wanting to get in. I don't think it's available legally digitally, so it has to be a physical purchase, or you can probably find it on Comixology if you're looking for it. But yeah, that's my recommend.
I think it's handy for series like that. Certainly, with some of like the manga series, or ones that are like, we're on volume 120 now, and you just sort of think, I want to get into this. But is there an entry level book rather than volume 1? Yeah. Sometimes the lore is so heavy, isn't it, that it's scary. Whereas something like that sounds perfect, especially for like Gundam.
Genuinely spot on. And I'm just putting the cover into the chat, and you can sort of see it's just lovely sort of watercolor style on it. It's really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah. Oh, that is nice. Yeah.
That's my recommend. It's a really
good colours, man.
Comes over really well, and again, it's easy enough to find. You can a quick search, you can get it for like $7.99 secondhand from Oxfam.
Real. Because I've got to say that's one series that seems utterly impenetrable to me.
Yeah,
there's so much of it.
And I think this is a great way to get into it. Frankly, that's kind of my that would be my recommendation as far as a way to get in. Yeah, this is where I'd start off.
Nice.
There you go.
So, Tony.
Yeah, so I got 2. My first one, I've just sent you the cover, the inside page for, so we're going to discuss that in a second. So it's called Jeff, a Pocket Cox and Geesin Chiller, who are the creators. It's written by Dan Cox, drawn by Fraser Geesin. It's the 21st Pocket Chiller, £5, 20 pages, colour. Although it's kind of like a 2-colour effect, if you see what I mean, inside.
Yes.
I out the door, I really like this. It's original. It's got something to say. It's interesting. It grabs you. But what I really wanted to start with is the cover. Now, if you look at the cover, is a street scene. It looks like it's drawn from life. That I would say that's probably a drawing of an actual street scene. On the right, you've got a bus garage. On the left, sort of, and a bridge in the middle. And on the left, you've got a woman jogger jogging away, haven't you? Now, if you open to page 1. They cleverly recreate that page, but instead of having the lady jogger with a nice bum, you've got a man staring at you, walking towards you with a couple of carrier bags.
He's actually on the cover as well.
Of course he is. Look at that, isn't that clever?
Yeah, it's lovely.
I really like that effect. I think that works really well, especially for a book that is so creepy. This is very kind of Fraser. I ordered it last week. I didn't in any way expect it to arrive in time for today, but it did. It arrived yesterday, so that's brilliant. He also kindly sent another comic as a present in the package, and also sketched. This is the coolness now to sketch on the envelope, isn't it? Are you finding that with some small press stuff? Even I've done it a couple of times recently.
Yeah, I need to do more of that.
Yeah, it's just fun, isn't it? I know there's a couple of Matt and Simon Russell and some other guys on the Slack do it, don't they? I think Simon and Matt are like literally having a sketch on the cover off. Every time one comes, they sort of try and outdo it with the next one. It's a bit like that. It's really cool. Don't know what my flipping postman thinks of it, but there you go. It is told in a really interesting point of view style, which I hear apparently Dan tells me is very popular in gonzo pornography, but I don't know about
that. I didn't know what half those words in that sentence meant. So,
so Jeff, the titular character Jeff. I don't want to spoil it, but you don't really see him, but people talk to him, and you are seeing it from his point of view. So it starts off with this guy in the street. He's dressed very smartly, carrying those shopping bags, and he looks keenly at the camera. And for a couple of panels, he's kind of making his mind out about what he's seeing. And he says, "Jeff, is that you?" And he sort of decides that he knows Jeff, and he takes Jeff back to his flat, and his kid's there, and he says, "Hey, mate, I've got a surprise for you. You remember Jeff, my friend Jeff from uni? He lived in the halls in Cranfield too." And just for a second, his kid, Matty, looks at whoever or whatever Jeff is, and he goes, no. Like he's looking at something that is just fucking awful. And then suddenly snaps in and he says, "Oh, Jeff, it's you. I was lost in the precincts and you found me. You brought me back to Mummy. We had pizza. Do you remember?" And it's very creepy like that. So the initial response from people when they see Jeff is to be disgusted or shocked, but quickly they seem to have a story about how they actually know him. So you get this story, and it's really interesting the way they do it. And I think it's also, it's got that sort of Tales of the Unexpected kind of vibe to it, but with a more of a sort of punk aesthetic new wave comic thing going on, you know. And that's just the first 3 pages. Now I refuse to spoil the rest of it, but things happen, and they slowly creep out to you, tease out to you things that might lead you to realize what is actually going on, if that makes sense. But as to whether you actually fully realize or find out what's going on, I'll leave that for you to find out and buy a copy. Well drawn, easy to follow. Everything plays in the faces as responses to what's going on and what Jeff, whatever Jeff is doing. So you have to have a grasp of facial acting, and Fraser really does in this. It's really good. Lovely pacing throughout it. It's a quick read. It's a short read. It's meant to be one of these sort of little pocket chiller books that we would get, you know, little war pocket books, didn't we? You know, everything was like that back in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely up for it. In fact, I've written it in my notes. I'll be up for more of this, but I definitely am, because I've already ordered another 4 books of him this morning. So go to Fraser Geesin, FraserGeesin.com. Fraser Geesin. I'd known Fraser because he's part of the Silence podcast. So I think I'd met him, something to do with that. I think I met him at a convention once. Is it Dan White, who we had on years ago, didn't we? Yeah. Who's doing big guns with his book? Has he got a publisher for it?
Cindy and Biscuit.
Yeah.
Is it only, or is it Fantagraphics? No, I think it's only, isn't it?
It's I can't remember who it is now, but it's great to see it. It's coming out in its sort of full version, so I'm glad I got a copy of that as well. Yeah, really good. So that's my first one. So Jeff, a Pocket, Cox and Geesin chiller. Go and have a look for these. Definitely go and find them, because they're just refreshingly original. There you go. That's my first one.
Is that one and done, or is that a
one and done, man? One and done. Yeah. And I get the impression each of them is.
I really want. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I want to read that.
Yeah.
Dan, what have you got?
I've got 2 reviews. One harks back to the Slack where we're doing the follow along, read along with the Dragon's Claws. On the Oink blog, they're doing like a month by month read along. So every time the issue of Dragon's Claws be released, they review it. So you're getting 1 issue a month, and we're up to issue 2, which is my favorite of the entire run. I think, if you're familiar with Dragon's Claws, the team go up against their kind of their arch rivals from the kind of the rollerball style sport they used to play called the Evil Dead, and there's a big fight, loads of people die, big characters die, and it's just really well done, like really kinetic, quick moving. It's kind of, there's so much in this comic that is in my DNA as a comic creator. That
I can see that. Yeah,
I'm sort of like, shit. Yeah, this is where I get it from. Some of this from, and Jeff Senior's earlier work when he was working on titles like this really was a big influence on what I do. And although I'm not too much a fan of some of the stuff he's kind of done more recently, the style he's moved into, like that earlier stuff, is fucking my jam. Love it. So if you go to the Oink blog and look for Dragon's Claws, you can look at the review there by Philip Boyce, or you can join the Slack group, and we've got a Slack channel where there's a number of us talking about the issues as they come out. And I'm trying to do a character a month, so I'll pick a character out of this issue and draw them. I'll probably go for one of the Evil Dead.
Nice work. Cool.
So, yeah. Should I save my second title, or?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I'll sit in the middle. Yeah.
Okay.
because I'm going to re-recommend a webcomic. One I talked about way back in the day, one that sort of blew my mind. It's on a little bit of a hiatus or break at the moment as they're working on Act 3. But there is like 166 odd pages to catch up on. If you have not read Rising Sand
that's
by Ty Dunitz and Jen Lee, two amazing creators who have been on the show, which is risingsand.glass, then you seriously need to get on it. This is what it's about. Urge is a world kept alight by a sun that has orbited faithfully since recorded memory, but now that faith is faltering. As the world slips ever deeper into despair, a contingent of outsiders, driven by little more than a desire to survive, will do what they can to illustrate that all things mustn't come to an end, at least not today. And it's a sort of sci-fi fantasy universe of wonderful creatures and creations and characters, and a dying sun, and like basically the end is coming. But what this story focuses on is the characters and the story that happens and how this is affecting them, and you're learning more about the cultures and the religions and all these different things going on as this story is played out. And in the background, you mentioned that the sun is dying, and the world's coming to an end, and you think that's the be all and end all. That's the let's get the Avengers together and stop this. This isn't that book. This is about like the characters in this world, and they're coming together, and the story's just getting bigger and bigger as it's chipping away and it's growing, and certainly character histories. And these aren't like shiny happy people. These are sort of rebels, rogues, not necessarily nice people. Sometimes there's familial fights. There are awesome, almost like Warhammer inspired sort of suits of armor. It's epic action, like from page 1. And this was years I first mentioned this. Do you remember that, lads, when I first talked about this?
Didn't she do your profile picture at one point for Twitter or something?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think that was, oh God, I need to dig that out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was lovely. I need to do it. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jen. You're amazing. But this was and this is something that I recommend that a lot of people do. This is something that I'm going to start doing because there's a lot of web comics. There's obviously a lot of comics in general that we all read and we get to know. Sometimes there's too many to do week on week on week. So you decide, I'm going to wait until there's a few pages and then I'm going to catch up and binge read. And then you realise that a year's gone past or a couple of years has gone past and you're like, fuck, I haven't read that in ages. So when I went to this website and I realised, shit, so much has happened. I mean, I got onto the page and it's like Act 3 is coming 2023. There's obviously a lot of work and they're sort of professional illustrators and designers themselves. There's, this is a labour of love for them. But all I saw was like, oh wow, I've got like 100+ pages to read of this now that I haven't read before. Which was awesome to see, and reading those pages was an absolute joy. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone because I think this is a tale. If you read it, and from page 1, they are fucking kicking it out of the park.
Yeah.
With the design, the art, everything about this book, and it stays consistent throughout. I don't know how often you've checked it out, Dan, but it's unbelievable. The arts are just unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like the fucking high benchmark for webcomic art. It's really good.
Yeah. I way back in the day, I kickstarted. They kickstarted a volume 1, which I obviously just wanted a copy on my shelf as well. So there's a lovely sort of A4 size book, which is full of sketches and stuff. And there's so much of the story that happens after then. So I hope one day they collect some more in the future. But I like that they're just still doing this. They're still telling this story. There is the grand epic that lots of people talk about. They've got it. They're doing it, and fucking hell, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely. And also this appeals to those people. If you like your Final Fantasies, if you like your Street Fighters, if you like Japanese sort of design and creation and world building, this is for you. You know, if you like your fantasy, if you like your tabletop role playing, if you like stuff like that, this is for you. If you just like good fucking comics that are well written and there's a big story being told, this is for you. There's even like, I could say, well, yeah, some of there's clearly some Dune influence in it. I know that Dune's the hotness at the moment, but you know that kind of like epic sands, deserts, and lots of things going on. It's all going on, and it is in a delicious package called Rising Sand. So go to risingsand.glass. Simple as that, and you can read it from page 1. Just you'll get onto that page and you'll just be like, oh wow, they've done like a Mortal Kombat style. Number 3 is coming. Go back to the beginning and start again. They do say from the beginning as well. There is a bit of graphic violence and a little bit of nudity.
One to put alongside that is 10 earth-shattering blows, which is still running.
Oh yeah,
strong. Yeah.
That's another one. I've just started getting into that actually after the Spider Forest episode, and that was one of those. I went back to start from the beginning. So.
Yeah, I've not read that in a while, and it popped up, and I was like, "Oh bloody, I missed out some of this."
There are amazing creators who, you know, they're not firing fireworks everywhere. They're just making good fucking comics and just keeping doing it, and that's. But we're here to make sure you don't miss out on these people. So check them out. Okay. Who wants to go next? Tony, do you want to go next and then Dan?
I think it's me next, isn't it? Yeah. Right, this is E-Junkie issue 1 out of Scout Comics, Guardians of Pain. $5.99 for a physical copy and $4.99 for a digital, which I thought was a little high. Written by Nicholas Tanner, who wrote in. Thanks, Nicholas. Artist Kyle Fenrick. Cover art by Derek Robertson. It's got 4 editors, so I guess they must have had a move around of staff or something, because it's Cal George, Andrea Molinari, Gregor Bear, and Cassie DeGosta. It's got a good cover, which you would expect from Derek Robertson, wouldn't you? It's but it's got that typical cyberpunk colouring thing. Everything in cyberpunk seems to be glowing green, pink, and purple these days. It just seems to be a sort of go-to colour, doesn't it? But if it speaks to that, then it speaks to it. The story is E-Junkies are a group of people, a number of people in the future who are in search of thrills, risk, and excitement. And the central character is a dude called Hector Holmes, and he's in search of that new rush. So we had to talk about this just before we started, but this is from the Scout website, and the Scout website seems to give a summary of the whole story. Which doesn't necessarily appear in the issue.
We weren't mad on that, were we?
Yeah, which I think it maybe gives away a few things. So I've limited what it says. But if you were to go to the Scout Comics website, you would see the whole story. It doesn't give you the conclusion of the story, but it does give you more than you get in this first issue that we were sent. If that makes sense.
Try to be careful with that on the show, because that's happened with me. You know, I have the go-to.
Comixology used to be terrible for it. Do you remember? We used to complain all the time for it, didn't we? Yeah. So he's in search of that new rush, and he ends up getting a new alternative reality drug that allows him to experience death in a train crash. This puts him in the hospital, where he's approached by a shady group of people to do something. I'll leave it there. I won't explain the following bit of it. So that's the summary. So there's some lovely dialogue in this. There's some lovely writing in it. While most people accept manufactured bliss or emotional regulation, an E-Junkie must experience it all, no matter the cost. I thought that was a lovely line. If I was writing the PR for this, I'd put that first. I think it kind of almost gives you a nice little, for want of a better word, a sort of vibe of it all, I'm guessing. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. This is, the interior art feels different. I think we kind of expect certain things from cyberpunk comics these days, and this does lean into it from a coloring point of view, but more in the actual line work is different. It reminded me of something like Spirou or Tintin, but with that sort of adult twist to it, that sort of psychedelia twist to it, in both art and narrative, actually. The faces are sort of simple, simple shapes almost. The comic exists in a world of shapes, and they use colored shapes on people's shoulders and stuff like that to highlight different sensory experiences, if that makes sense. It's interesting in that. I got to say, just from a purely personal point of view, I'd have loved to have seen this in some old school scratchy black and white. early
Gotcha.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style. I think that would have been lovely to see. I think it's very powerfully coloured, and I think that almost takes away a little bit from some of the line art on this. I'm going to say it's an interesting story, and it has more of a personal element. I think a lot of cyberpunk stories seem to focus on the visuals rather than the people, but this one seems to focus a little bit more on the central character. He's something of an everyman. There's a sort of everyman morality tale, Kafkaesque element to it in a way, which is interesting. It's a solid start. I mean, let's face it, drugs that take you in and out of reality is not an uncommon trope in cyberpunk comics, but you've got to do it differently, haven't you? You know, it seems, from some Philip K. Dick onwards, I'm sure before that, it was happening constantly, the loss of identity and, this sort of thing. But it is done in an interesting way. I'm probably with it. Nice little moments of visual energy as well. The cover is eye-catching, if you store it on a shelf. I'm not sure the price. The price seems quite high for a comic. When it's $5.99, it's going to be £5.90 in a UK shop, which is a lot for a comic. But you might be. I'm hoping they're going to be on Global Comics. There you go, another plug for Global Comics.
That'd be fantastic.
So, yeah, then we can get into it on there. But yeah, E-Junkie 1 from Scout Comics. Scout Comics seem to be taking some chances on things, and I'm glad. Some interesting stuff. The creators don't think I've read anything from them before, apart from Derek Robertson. So interesting. It's an interesting start, an interesting style, and an interesting experiment that I'm all for. Yeah, that's my second one. There you go.
Nice. Dan, take us home.
Finally, I kind of backed this book in slight error. It's from creator Jamie Mee, he does the B Mecha stuff, and another B Mecha title just came along. I was like, oh yeah, back that straight away. And it came through, and I realized I really hadn't checked out the campaign page, and I'm not moaning about it. It's kind of pornographic in nature. There's a slight bit of the story where the main character of the book is kind of floating back and forth with a girl, and then the 2/3 of the book are the girl in question sending rather intimate selfies of herself to the main character of B Mecha. So if you like that kind of stuff, you're gonna be in your element. I was kind of like,
is that a bit of a change from the first issue?
Crikey, right? I think this is like an aside. Like it's just like a bit of
an erotic aside to the first issue.
An erotic aside, as all good books should have. And so yeah, I was kind of like, well, okay, it's like fair enough. I only got a digital version, so no harm, no foul. So
it did what it said on the tin, did it, Dan?
It did what it said on the tin 10 times over.
Oh my word! Cool, blimey! Were you out of
cool,
breath?
blimey, governor! Several times.
My word!
Yeah, I got some funny looks on the train home.
Again.
Yeah.
What a sexy way to end this week's episode. And thank you. We hope you check out a lot of those comics. Anything that we've talked about on this. If we talk about it, it's because we want to talk about it and we believe in it and we want you to check it out. So we hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Thank you to Tom for joining us to celebrate. We should have all got like cupcakes or something, shouldn't we? Perhaps we'll do.
That'd be great.
Yeah, sign of us eating on
piercings.
Podcast.
Yeah,
we've all got tattoos and piercings.
Yeah,
I got a piercing on Friday.
Yeah, how's that going, Tom?
It's sore.
Does it make it
still
swell
sore?
Up?
Fuck.
Yeah, it's not too bad actually. But is it swelling? No, it's not swelling at the moment. I'm salting it, twice a day.
Oh,
that must be sore. Oh right, no, that one.
No.
Yeah.
I heard a good story of someone I work with doing it. This made me laugh out loud.
Oh god,
this guy, he'd gone out to get his lunch, and someone drove past him a car and whacked him, and he fell down on the ground, and they just fucked off, and he was really annoyed by it. So the next day he came back, bought a bunch of flowers, and then sellotaped it to the lamppost next to where they hit him.
That's amazing. That's a great
That's genius.
Thank you for having me on for this special episode.
Pleasure, man.
Yeah,
great.
Man.
Always good to have you.
Pleasure. And it's always a pleasure making the show, and hopefully you have enjoyed it. And if there's anything you want us to talk about in upcoming episodes, any process, likewise, if you've got any events, if you're doing any charity initiatives, anything that you want us to shout out in the show, please do check us out and email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media at the Awesome Pod, at whatever social media happens to be.
In the future.
You on Threads now? Who's on? What are we doing this week?
Whatever it is. Old Eggbox. If you're on Eggbox, you can find us at the Awesome Pod. I bet there probably is a social media. If not, we should create it. Let's talk about that after the show.
Melon bag.
Melon bag. Thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, leave a review. It helps get the word out about the show.
Thanks to everyone who's left a recent one, actually. Really kind of you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Very, very much appreciate it. You're all very, very kind. If you listen to us on other networks such as Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what other networks are we on, Tony?
We're also on the network Pod, examining post-nut clarity, the medical podcast.
We've all done it. And what you should do out there, you should join the wonderful Slack community that we talked about previously on the show. Get in touch with us. Slack is basically like an app. It's one of those, like a WhatsApp or like, a Discord kind of thing. But the ACP uses Slack. So download it, join the group, and join a wonderful community of people on there. Creatives. Some people just want to sell some of their old collection for an absolute song. So if you want to add to your
new stuff went up today, actually.
Yeah,
Pound Shop is great.
Yeah, the stuff is always going on there. So please join that. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, we'll be here at the same time, same bat channel. But until then, where can people find us online, etc.? Tony?
Never on anything. Watch out this week for a artists roundtable coming your way.
Oh, fantastic.
Lovely.
Looking forward to that.
Dan?
You can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Nice. You can find me on the socials at Jester Diablo and Mr. Tom Curry. The man, the myth, the legend. Where can people find you?
Fuck knows.
.com. If you
just
go
give
to fuckknows.com.
Fuckknows.com. No, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it's important, right? Like, but also, I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, we kind of get strange age with social media.
We are.
I'll be on the Slack. All right.
This moment actually died on its arse.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
But it doesn't matter. Join the Slack, and you can
join the
talk
Slack.
and you can talk to Tom there. Yeah. Or go to a drink and draw. You actually see his beautiful face.
Yeah. Must have another one at the end of the month.
Yeah. If ever Gotham City's in trouble again, call me. How do we call him? A big light, Tom. Face up in the sky.
Tom's knee in the sky.
Yeah. But until that time, until needed, for the rest of this week, have a brilliant time. Read loads of comics, wherever you are in the world. We hope you're happy, healthy, making lots of comics that just get you excited. Not like that, Tony.
Always like that.
And genuinely enjoying the comic medium, because that's what we're here for. Week on, week out. Forget the bullshit. Just love comics, because that's what it's all about. So until that time, they should make loads of comics, read lots of comics, basically be what else am I missing, guys? What else should they do?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Perfect.
That was absolutely perfect.
8 years.
I mean, your guys' level of perfect may not be the same as mine, but I'll take it. Bye, everyone.
Perfect, Nancy. Bye.
See you later.